Good morning and Merry Christmas to family, friends, and people of goodwill everywhere. We celebrate this day as the birthday of Jesus Christ. As he grew into manhood, he preached on many things, but the common denominator was love everybody. We see more love expressed at Christmas by people giving and sharing more than any other time of the year. In the Bible, Matthew 5th chapter 44th verse references Jesus' love of everybody, even his enemies. This he described as perfect love. Now, it is difficult to love everybody as Jesus did, but perhaps we can start today by committing ourselves not to hate anyone. Now, each year we memorialize and commemorate those who made monumental contribution to the improvement of life in this country and has helped move us a step closer to a more perfect union. And now they have moved on to the spiritual world. This year, we honor Robert J. Friend, who was a Tuskegee Airman. Mr. Friend and 354 compadres were forced to fight our own country before they were allowed to fight our enemies. The military would not permit Americans of color to join the Air Force by citing the rationale that Americans of color were intellectually inferior and that only whites held a patent to intellect. Fortunately, the Tuskegee Airmen failed to get that memo and held to the belief that they were the best pilots in this country. Not because they were black, but they were trained to be the best. And while they were considered second-class citizens, they were prepared to die first class for their country. To obtain permission to fly in the United States Air Force, the Tuskegee Airmen wrote to President Roosevelt, sent copies of their training procedures to him. The president's wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, went down to Tuskegee and took herself an hour flight with a pilot of color, which convinced her that these airmen were competent pilots and they were assigned to a separate squadron. Observe the dichotomy. When the cowardly Trump was called upon to serve his country, he manipulated the system to avoid serving in the military. For this act, some American voters rewarded him with the presidency, and he was made the commander-in-chief of all the military. I will leave the rationale for this for you to contemplate. Mr. Friend was assigned to the European theater during the Second War, and he was ordered to safeguard our bombers in transit to enemy targets. He flew 142 missions or sorties and never lost any bombers to the enemies. Mr. Friend and the other Tuskegee Airmen were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal by President George W. Bush in 2007. Just to add parenthetically, Lee A. Archer, his compadre, was honored as an ace pilot, having been credited with shooting down 5 German MiGs. Mr. Friend passed away June the 21st at the age of 99. Toni Morrison exploded on the literary scene in 1988 with her magnificent novel, Beloved, which won for her the Pulitzer Prize and was subsequently made into a movie starring Oprah Winfrey. In 1993, she became the first African-American woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. As a matter of fact, she became the first native-born American since John Steinbeck in 1962 to receive that coveted prize. Ms. Morrison said in an interview that she is writing the African-American story for American history. Her imaginative powers in Beloved, Song of Solomon's, and other works transformed American letters by dramatizing the pursuit of freedom within the boundaries of race. In 2012, President Obama awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Ms. Morrison passed away August the 5th at the age of 88. The Honorable Elijah E. Cummings, a member of the Congressional House since 1996 and chairman of the Oversight Committee since 2006, earned the respect of congressmen on both sides of the aisle and the admiration of people internationally. Mr. Cummings, a formidable orator, spent his entire life as a champion of civil rights. Mr. Cummings, a statesman, stood light years above the average political stooge that spend 99% of their time in office preparing for their re-election, while he spent 99% of his time working to improve the quality of life for the next generation of Americans. Mr. Cummings became the first American of color so honored to lie in state in our nation's capital. He was eulogized by President Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Mr. Cummings passed away October the 17th at the age of 68. John Conyers Jr. was elected to Congress in 1964 and became the longest serving American of color. He co-sponsored the Voting Rights Act in 1965, and in 1971, he co-founded the Congressional Black Caucus. He helped to create a national holiday for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in which he took great pride as his best achievement while in office. I might mention parenthetically that Her Eminence Rosa Parks worked in his Detroit office for 20 years. Mr. Conyers passed away October the 27th at the age of 90. Now, Harrison Dillard was a huge underdog who bookies and the crowd thought he didn't have a prayer when he lined up for the 100-yard dash in the Olympics Games of 1948 in London's Wembley Stadium in front of a capacity crowd of 83,000, including the King and Queen of England. Many felt sorry for him because he had failed to qualify for the high hurdle, at which he was acknowledged to be the best in the world. But Dillard pulled off the most memorable Olympic victory in history by winning the 100-yard dash. Mr. Dillard won 3 more gold medals, including the hurdles in 1952. The moral of this story is that Mr. Dillard believed in himself when the world felt that he didn't have a prayer. You may wish to consider passing this thought of believing in yourself on to your children. Mr. Dillard passed away Friday, November the 15th at the age of 96. Now, on the subject of education, it is common knowledge that a great education could provide a distinct advantage to anyone seeking to improve their lifestyle. We are living in a technological age in which we must be at the top of our game to be in the game of global competition for economical survival. We know that quality education for our children is not on the President's radar, which makes it imperative that it is placed at the top of our radar. We must promote STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as these studies will provide the instrument necessary for technological dominance. The use of robots, drones, artificial intelligence, and other technological advances will be employed routinely in our daily life. We have the raw material, but we, the people, must elect a new president that will help make college affordable for every student so that our raw material resource will become a cultivated resource. There are some students who are working hard enough to earn full scholarships. Consider Tupac Mosley. The 70-year-old was named valedictorian to his class while being homeless. He has been accepted by over 40 universities while receiving about 50 scholarships worth more than $3 million. He is reported to have matriculated at Tennessee State University, where he will major in electrical engineering. Secondly, let me introduce identical twin brothers who are seniors at Scotts High in Toledo, Ohio. Valedictorian Deontay Wright, who carries a 4.5 grade point average, and salutatorian DeAndre with a 4.6 grade point average. They produced these remarkable grades while holding 2 jobs and performing more than 70 hours of community service. It is crystal clear that they are very competitive, each pushing the other to be better. They have earned full scholarships to Ohio State University, where they will major in electrical engineering with a minor in business. Now for a quick update on family activity. My fine daughter Rhonda in Tallahassee, Florida, who has her Bachelor of Arts degree and teacher's certificate, has set a goal to become dean over Florida State's Disability Service Department. But to qualify for this position, it requires a master's degree in education leadership. Rhonda did indeed complete a year towards her master's, earning a 4.0 grade point average. Hopefully, by this time next year, she will have earned her master's degree. She told me that there's a lot of changes that needs implementing in the college setting for those with disabilities. So with great pride, we extend our sincere congratulations, and the Llewellyn Scholarship Program has awarded Rhonda with $200 scholarship fund. Now on May the 24th, Quabana, Tommy 3 and my son, received his diploma while graduating from Heritage High School in Brevard County, Florida. Quabana has demonstrated superb artistic talent in the theater. Congratulations to Quabana and best wishes for his career. Mama Barbara and Valeda created a document of family member Ichabod Llewellyn's life, which will be used when presenting papers and lectures to the public, and as a promotion for his biography, which will be published in 2020. The documentary was shown at Washington Shores Presbyterian Church in Orlando, Florida in September, and is part of a paper printed to the Asala Conference in Charleston, South Carolina last October. The filming was planned and executed by the Llewellyn family with the professional assistance of IC Images. Our family youngest member, Lincoln Thomas Ikers, celebrated his first birthday October the 31st. LT is already employed as a model, but technological advances suggest that the career position that he may hold when he reaches 22 years of age may not as yet been created. Ken Llewellyn Jr. opened an art exhibition on October the 12th, and it closed November the 2nd. 4 pieces of his artwork, which was scheduled to be displayed during the exhibition, was sold before the exhibition had begun. When the exhibition closed, Ken had sold 5 of 8 pieces that he had on display, with the price ranging from $850 to the top end of $3,800. Ken travels extensively throughout Europe to expand his market. Anyone desiring to own one of his works is encouraged to make purchase without delay because the price for his artwork is increasing rapidly because of huge demands. The exhibit was held at Think Space Project Art Gallery, 6009 Washington Boulevard in Culver City, California, 90232. The phone number there is 310-558-3375. Ken is the art director. I have included some pictures of Ken's art for you to review. Now, there are several states that want to repeal the Roe v. Wade federal statute which protect a woman's rights to have a legal abortion. The state of Alabama has introduced a bill sponsored by Republican Representative Terry Collins, a bill that would make an abortion a felony, punishable by life or 10 to 99 years in prison for any physician caught performing an abortion. This legislation was drafted by Eric Johnson of the Alabama Pro-Life Coalition. A federal court would not rule on the bill but put it on hold to be studied. There are several other states, Ohio, Missouri, Mississippi, and Georgia, that has prepared similar legislation for possible state law, hoping that the Supreme Court, with more Trump-appointed justices, may consider a repeal of Roe v. Wade. I would like to review the circumstances of two women that chose to have abortion. The first woman was Faye, the wife of Michael in the movie The Godfather. Michael was a brutal killer, and Faye chose not to give birth to her embryo because it would perpetuate the mafia empire. Watch as she explained to Michael, who thought that she had a miscarriage, but she explained it was no miscarriage, but an abortion.
Oh, Michael. Michael, you are blind. It wasn't a miscarriage. It was an abortion. An abortion, Michael. Just like our marriage is an abortion. Something that's unholy and evil. I didn't want your son, Michael. I wouldn't bring another one of your sons into this world. It was an abortion, Michael. It was a son, and I had it killed because this must all end. I know now that it's over. I knew it then. There would be no way, Michael. No way you could ever forgive me. Not with this Sicilian thing that's been going on for 2,000 years. Oh!
Secondly, I attempted to counsel a newly pregnant woman at a hospital where she was told that her partner, who had impregnated her, was dying of cancer. She was devastated. She shared with me that without her partner's help, she could hardly take care of herself. Having to work and pay for child's care service would be impossible on her $400 a week income. She had been offered a better job in Las Vegas, but she needed additional schooling to acquire the skills demanded of that position. I had no solution for her situation, but I do know that millions of women find themselves in dire situations more catastrophic than those which I have indicated here. Every innocent child born into this country has an expectation to be loved, nurtured, and educated. It is inconceivable that a mother forced to bring an embryo to full term would have an equal portion of love for that forced embryo as she would normally reserve for a wanted embryo, whereby a mother would start a loving communication before the child is born. A pro-life organization partially responsible for a child's birth should be partially responsible for the child's rearing by providing love, nurturing, and financial assistance until the child has obtained a degree in college. Not one pro-lifer was seen at the Texas border, where Trump had ordered small children separated from their parents with no plan or concern to reunite them. I would expect pro-lifers to have a resounding presence register in their displeasure. Nor was any pro-lifer in court fighting legally to salvage disabled children, giving them 33 days to leave this country by the president, knowing that they would die if sent back to their country. Pro-lifers took an agnostic view, choosing not to get involved. Their prime concern, or perhaps only concern, is with embryos, with no concern for children. I'm cognizant of the fact that some pro-lifers are opposed to abortion because the birth rate of white children is steadily decreasing yearly, and the birth rate hit a 32-year low last year. Some whites are afraid of becoming a minority race. The Supreme Court's ruling in Roe v. Wade protects a woman's right to an abortion, and the 14th Amendment guarantees her due process, privacy of her own body. I hope that we, the people, will speak up to preserve a woman's rights. Now, protecting our school children must be a top priority for we, the people. Trump said that all he could offer at school tragedy is his prayers, and suggested that if teachers would carry firearms, that would help to protect the school children. Now, this thinking is insanely idiotic. We have a hostile actor with only one intent, and that is to kill as many children as possible before he is apprehended. This murderer, perhaps equipped with an AK-47, a military killing machine enhanced with a modified high-powered magazine, making his weapon capable of firing 1,000 rounds a minute. This hostile killer is wearing body armor for his protection. A teacher whose only experience in firing a gun has been limited to the firing range for target practice. Let me share with you a scene from the movie Godfather, where the Godfather is going shopping without his usual soldier for protection. He only has an inept son, Alfredo, with no gun experience. Watch what happens. Look, at the end of the day, a teacher expects simply to go home to her dinner with his or her family, while the hostile killer expects to die, either by the police or his own hand. As a possible solution to these horrible crimes on children, I would suggest that school systems establish a program for all teachers to be trained in child psychology. This training might make them aware of behavior patterns out of the ordinary that might show a history of developing into violence. The school would then work with the parent to neutralize this erratic behavior before the child becomes a statistic. School classroom must be equipped with electronic lockdown doors, giving teachers adequate time to move their students into a closet with a leaded panel door. Now, with reference to mass killing, 99% of the public poll wants stronger gun registration. We, the people, must demand of our Congress to enact the strongest gun laws. AR-15s and AK-47, body armor, and high-power magazine must be eliminated from sale to the public. The language in the Second Amendment does not succinctly give the public the right to be armed with weapons intended for military usage. Therefore, Congress can limit the weaponry available for home protection. If forced to sell AK-47 to public, they then make bullets unavailable for sale. Buyback gun program would remove some guns from the street. Every gun removed from usage potentially saves a life. We, the people, must speak up and act up to prevent further slaughter of our people. Now, in March 2018, police in Sacramento, California fired 20 bullets at 22-year-old Stephon Clark, killing him although he was unarmed and running away. In June 2018, a Pittsburgh police officer killed Antoine Rose, shooting him in the back. He too was unarmed and fleeing. In November, a Hoover, Alabama police officer killed 22-year-old Emmanuel Bradford Jr. He too was disarmed, but he was shot 3 times, all from behind. Botham Jean was shot and killed in his own living room while eating ice cream by a Dallas police woman named Amber Guyder. These people were shot down with impunity, establishing without fear of equivocation that police culture is that black people are guilty until proven innocent. If they are still alive, black people are 3 times more likely to be killed by policemen than a white. Police habit of shooting black people in the back while they are running away will create an anarchy situation where black people will stop running and start firing their own weapon, knowing that now they will have a better chance of surviving. Before this happens, we, the people, must vote into office a president who will put in place a real attorney general with clear instruction to incorporate a new police culture, part of which would be to recruit college-trained officers with a minor in human psychology. During the recruiting process, consider placing some officers to serve in their own neighborhoods. Police must be trained to fire their weapons to save innocent human lives and their own lives when attacked. The winner of the 2016 presidential election was Russia's Vladimir Putin. Anyone who doubts that needs only to refresh his memory to the Helsinki Accords in 2018. There, Trump told the world that he had taken Putin's word over our CIA, the FBI, and the International Interpol. The loser of that election is the American people. Trump gave and still giving Putin all of the American assets at his disposal. Because Trump's tax return, I believe, will reveal that he is financed by Russia's oligarch at Putin's orders. Trump has used our Constitution as toilet paper, isolated us from valuable allies, and destroyed the respect that our country had built up internationally over 50 years. If Trump was re-elected as president, that would signal the end of this country as a democracy. This man intends to rule this country as a dictator, a monarch, an autocrat that will rule this country with his unlimited authority. He's almost there now. He has no respect for the legislature or the judiciary. The U.S. Attorney General and his cabinet are his stooges. He elects judges for the federal court that has never argued any cases. Well, that's not important. They just vote as I tell them. All that we have in our presidency is a 300-pound maggot-infested bag of garbage that has surrounded himself with stooges, including some member of Congress. We, the people, must use any legal means necessary to remove this virus and his stooges from office, either by impeachment or voting him out in 2020 before our country is totally destroyed. This means voting a straight Democratic ticket, encouraging others to vote and providing any resources that you can afford to help the cause. Now, in closing, I thank you dearly for listening, and please enjoy the Christmas holiday and be kind to everyone that you meet in the new year. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
All the mistletoe, I'm gonna get to know you better this Christmas. And as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together. This Christmas, the fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through the night, and this Christmas